So my question is about the love which you were talking about, that we should to end nuclear war, that it's like spreading love,
Yeah.
And I also understood how you were talking about this. After the pandemic, things have become very crazy, So actually, I became a vegan 1 year before, and I'm now very sensitized to the pain that the animals keep on going through, all the farmed animals all over the world. And like they are separated from their families, they're imprisoned, they're being exploited, they're being slaughtered. And I don't think that we, in fact, deserve to not have a nuclear war. I feel that human beings don't deserve to be peaceful. So how do we do this without all of us going vegan? And that's my question.
Yeah, as you become more sensitive, it is like a hard blow to accept. Humanity's like what's that word? Sins, like humanity's like karma, like what we've done, and what we continue to do. It's like with the animals. I mean, the amount of animals that we are torturing is insane. Like the amount of bad energy that goes there, let alone what we're doing to ourselves, like doing to other humans. But the amount of animals that we're torturing on a yearly basis. I looked it up for a piece that I was writing, and it's huge amounts. It's really grotesque. And the thing that's so sad about it, and what hurts us all, is that we know we're doing it. Like there's not anyone that can claim ignorance anymore about it. We all know that that's what we're doing to animals. And it's in everything. It's not just in our food, it's in our glue, it's in our cars, like animal products. Like it's crazy the amount that we use animal products. And I'm not talking about the debate of whether we should eat animals or not eat animals. That's, I think, a whole different debate. What we're talking about is the torture of animals. The way in which we currently farm animals is mostly torturous. Like that's what we're talking about. So yeah, I really understand like why do we karmically deserve not to all be eradicated? Like that's like such a big question. And I think the first place of forgiveness is ourself. So before we forgive other people, it's ourself. And this is really painful. Like actually in this moment of saying it, it's like I feel a little bit of tear well up, because like there's that really famous quote from Jesus where it's like you think he's talking about Mary Magdalene when they discovered that she was a prostitute, something like that. I'm not really a very good Christian. I was christened, but I never really practiced it or know much about it. But from what I understood, that they found out she was a prostitute and they wanted to stone her to death, and Jesus said no, only throw a stone if you haven't sinned. So like if you haven't sinned, then you have the right to throw the stone. And none of them could throw stones because they're all like, okay, we've all sinned. In a way, like Christianity, like I think it's really sad that it says that we're all born a sinner, but in a way there is some truth in that, because as soon as we move on this planet, we begin to create destruction. Like just in our being alive, there has to be a use of other materials in order to sustain us and keep us alive. And when we live in cities and grew up in cities, we kind of forget about every item that we use is taking from something or someone else, whether it be a tree, whether it be rocks, stone, air, water. And so we have to come to terms with this in ourselves, like what it is to be human. Like I'm not sure if we are predators in the sense that we eat animals, or whether we eat grass like a herbivore. Like, our teeth don't really aren't really definitive either way. But just coming to peace with the fact that as soon as we're alive, others must lose their form. And that's quite a strong realization. For in order for me to be alive, others must lose their form. Not including animals, to have clothes, to have anything, others must lose their form. So the first forgiveness is ourself. Like, how do we, like all the actions are done, the times we've lost our temper with other people, put other people down, been jealous, been spiteful, been bitter. And the realization of the competitiveness of the human, the want for more money, the want to be better than, the want to be stronger than, the want to survive, and forgive that. And I feel like the way in which we forgive that is something like Ramesh Balsekar or Roger Castillo's teaching, is really understanding that there isn't actually somebody inside these bodies that are doing these actions. So to be vegetarian or vegan isn't actually somebody's choice, it's a program that is running. And the more that we see humans as a program that's running, not individual entities that are choosing not to be vegetarian and not to be vegan, the more that this forgiveness will come for our race. We are at the mercy of life as much as every other animal and being on this planet. And we have been programmed to be like this. We've been programmed to be a very ferocious animal that wants to survive. And that programming isn't a personal thing. It's not like there's us in there that are self-centered doing it. It's something that life has created, like creating a massive tidal wave. And it's like this abundance of human energy that's going forward, desperate to survive. And just really holding that, really being with that. Like the nature, like the ferociousness of also being a human animal. And really seeing that there's nobody that's doing it, and that this is ultimately God's play. And then as you begin to disentangle from being this person, this love naturally arises for all beings, including humanity and including all of humanity's sins. It's seen as, in a way, you could say, if we get religious about it, like the Son of God. Like it's creation of this life. It's like a magnificent creation of this life. And it is profound transformation to really forgive ourselves. And it has to start with yourself, and then it will begin to go out to other people. You really understand that they couldn't be any other way. I once worked with this lady, and I changed names, and I'll change the whole story a little bit because I don't want to expose people on the internet or people that I've worked with. But she had a child with special needs, like severe special needs. And when we used to work, we often used to work on problems that came from her life, from her kids, but not from this child with special needs, even though the child with special needs was most probably the hardest on her time and had the most problematic issues in it. But she never complained about that. And so one day I asked her, like, why do you complain about, your husband, your children, your work, your colleagues, but you never complain about your child? And they were like, well, they can't be any other way. And she knew so strongly that her child with special needs couldn't be any other way, that she didn't hold any resentment there. She didn't build up any story there. It was like that child was free from these judgments and these ideas. How does that feel? It's such a big question. There's so many aspects that we could go into, like in how you feel and like what arises for you, the feelings that arise for you when you imagine the destruction that humans create, like how you feel about yourself. Like there's so many different areas. So it's just like a very basic answer in a way.
Actually, I have been to Ramesh Balsekar.
Oh, yeah.
I was with him for 12 years.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, maybe I have met you sometime.
Yeah.
That's possible.
Yeah, possible, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know, since the last 1 year, I have not been able to there is a choice, isn't there? That we do have a choice.
There is an appearance of choice, yeah.
Yeah, so in fact, I exercise that choice very consciously.
Yeah.
And I stopped drinking milk, and I stopped all dairy products. You know?
Yeah.
So, and that really felt very beautiful when I did it in the beginning. I felt that I'm friendly with the universe.
Yeah.
I felt that when I had gone for Vipassana many years back, and that there I had taken a vow not to kill, you know. And so I felt that now is the time that I have actually fulfilled that vow.
Yeah.
And I felt deserving to be a sadhak, sort of. Like I felt that this is my entry into spirituality.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think it's really beautiful. That choice, that appearance of that choice arises in you. And and I think it's really profound what it does, because when you're eating suffering, I think that has a big effect on the body. And when you're not exercising that compassion when you're eating, I think that has an effect on the psychology.
Yeah.
So I think it is a really profound move, and I really recommend it. I mean, as long as people are taking into consideration their health, like for some people it actually might not be physically healthy to do that. But yeah, I think it's really a surrendering that happens, because you're picking like love and compassion over taste.
Yeah. Right.
And simplicity. It's most probably easier to be a meat eater, especially in Europe. And it's maybe cheaper as well. Ironically, you'd think it'd be more expensive, but because, there's lots of reason for that. And it's also better for the environment. So I think psychologically, it's like a state of being in surrender. But I think it's also important to see this other aspect, that people can only do that when they're ready. They can't do it a moment before. And it doesn't mean they're bad people, because I know so many people that eat meat that are beautiful with loving hearts. And they do it for so many different reasons. And we all, in the end, you know, in order to be alive, we have to take. So even in being a vegetarian, you know, the grains that are killed will have killed lots of insects and lots of mice and little animals that we're taking. Like nothing comes for free.
Yes.
But I get the impulse that you have, but it's like really holding that compassion and that love for others, that they can only be at where they are. And the more that you, I feel, the more that we forgive ourselves, the more that we can forgive other people's actions. And forgiveness to me is really understanding, like, that everything's happening. It seems like it's free will, but it's dependent on everything that's come before, and it's appearing spontaneously out of this moment. So your actions are everything, not just your actions, but your parents' actions, your grandparents' actions, the founders of India's action, like everybody's actions
Mm-hmm.
Like so it's like holding these two. So there is the appearance of choice, but it's really knowing that you can't judge other people from that. Their lives is so complex, and their brain is so complex, and their body is so complex, and their history is so complex. And humanity has got the possibility of doing amazing things. You know, we might be able to, if we can get past this period of like self-centeredness, it does feel like we're going through like mass narcissism and self-centeredness. You know, we could potentially get to a place and a time where we grow things completely sustainably, including animal products that aren't taken from an animal. So we can grow meat. Like this amazing thing we can do. We can there's just so many. We could become completely sustainable. We could also go out into the universe, like we could create a society that is so peaceful and in tune with itself. There is so much possibility in us, but in a way, like Eckhart Tolle, this video I was listening to the other day, and I don't know how he's so sure about this, but he feels that we have to go through this darkness in order to wake up. Like in order to transform. I mean, in my story, if I look at it, like if I hadn't been presented with lots of suffering early on in life, I wouldn't have gone into this subject. I'd have kept going towards pleasure until the suffering got too heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it's such a big subject. Like I'm simplifying it in a way. There's so much that could be said about this, like the way that we feel towards other humans, our emotions, like our family history, the way we were brought up, like our relationships, what we've been taught.
Yeah. Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah, thank you. That was a really beautiful question. Thank you. Yeah. And we plugged veganism, which is always a good thing. It might have an effect.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.